This is the easiest way that you can move through the 5 stages of divorce on your divorce recovery journey. And in this video, I'm going to share with you exactly what that is, and make sure that you stay tuned to the end, because I'm going to give you 3 tips on how you can actually do this in your life, okay? And so if you are new to me, to my channel, to any of my content in social media land, my name is Katrice. I am the Natal Chart Navigator. I'm also a divorce recovery strategist, and I teach newly divorced women how to go through the 5 stages of divorce easier and with more clarity, using the information found within their astrological natal charts, okay? And so now let's jump into it. So, I always talk about how I talk about this one particular thing, and it is emotionally balancing, okay? You have to get your emotions in check, okay? Because when you do this, it helps you to move through the stages faster. So, because you can get stuck in the stages, okay? Now, if you are new to divorce recovery and you are like, what are the stages of divorce? I'm going to link a video, and I'll put, right here, you can click up here. I'll put that link, the video there, so you can go and it's a video where I go over the 5 stages of divorce, okay? But yeah, so you have to get your emotions in check, right? Now, when you are looking at your natal chart, within your natal chart, the moon governs your emotions, okay? The moon governs your emotions, and so you definitely want to know what your moon sign is, know the energy that your moon is operating in, and the house where your energy is placed within your natal chart, okay? But in order for you to get your emotions in check, you got to first understand, what is emotionally balancing, okay? How do you emotionally balance, okay? So stay tuned, because I'm going to give you tips on how you can do that, okay? And if you haven't gotten your free copy of my Natal Healing Method ebook, you definitely want to do that. The link is in the description. It's the foundation of the healing method. It's the first 3 steps of the healing method, okay? And also, if you have not pulled your birth chart, you definitely want to go to astro.com and pull your birth chart, okay? Now, let's talk about what is emotional balancing, okay? It is also known as emotional self-control, okay? And so when you strengthen your emotional self-control, you learn how to manage your impulses and your emotions, even in stressful situations. And nothing can be more stressful than going through divorce and the recovery after divorce, okay? And so learning how to be emotionally self-controlled during this time frame is really, really key, because your emotions can make or break you. Let's just keep it all the way real. People that are super emotional and what I call emotionally temperamental, they can fly off the handle, or just get just very much not in control of their emotions. It can really prolong your recovery, okay? And not saying that you want to hurry up and rush through the recovery process, because it's a natural thing, okay? It's a natural thing to get through the process, okay? But once you you don't want to just prolong it longer than it needs to be. Okay. All right. And so developing emotional balance, it begins with self-awareness. Okay. You have to become aware of your emotions, how they occur, and how they impact you. Okay. Like what triggers you. Okay. You have to become aware of things that trigger emotions, and it doesn't matter whether they are positive, what you deem as positive emotions. I like to say favorable and unfavorable because I don't do the whole positive negative thing, because to me nothing is positive or negative, good or bad. It's either you favor this or you don't favor that. So that is more unfavorable than this. Okay. So whether it's a favorable emotion or unfavorable emotion, you have to learn how to balance. Okay. And learn how to use each emotion really for your benefit. Okay. I don't think anybody's going to try to do anything for their detriment. Okay, not consciously anyway. So you want to do things that are going to be for your benefit. Okay, and so when you're not aware of your emotions, okay, then it creates a state of imbalance and stress. Okay. And your emotions can start to run your life without your conscious knowledge. Okay. This is something that I definitely went through when I first, got divorced. It's like my emotions were literally like guiding me throughout the day. Like I want to say the first 6 months of my divorce recovery, my emotions were like all over the place, and I really was just doing a lot of things on autopilot, like literally, honestly, and it was like I had to okay, you got to get yourself together. You got to get these emotions in check, because they are running your life, and it's not running your life the way you want your life to run. Okay. And I was letting my outside things I saw in my outside world affect my emotions. My emotions were all up in an uproar, and then my outside world was all in an uproar, and I had to learn how to really go inward and really focus on getting my emotions in check. Okay. And how to not let things affect me the way I was letting them affect me. Okay. And so you have to become self-aware. Okay. Until you become self-aware that your emotions are running your life, it's going to keep being that way, and you're going to keep being all over the place, and you're going to be in your recovery longer than what you want to be in. Okay, so that's number one. Okay, now the next thing is focus. Okay, focus is a foundational skill for emotional intelligence, and because you have to focus on, okay, this happened, okay, which triggered this emotion, and then this was the result of that. So if the result of that was something that was unfavorable, okay, then you need to see, okay, how do I stop letting this affect me in this way? Okay. And that's where you have to kind of focus on. Now, I don't mean like you're just walking around with a piece of paper, not like that, but like you mentally, like one thing you can do is like a recap of your day. You can do like a recap of your day and kind of write down how your day went, and then you'll start to see. Okay, but I'm going to save that to go with the tips at the end. So, let's keep going. Okay, but you do need to focus on, how you're being, how things are affecting you out, in your outer world. Okay, how they are affecting you, and you're letting them affect you in your inner. Okay, and so there's several different types of focus, like the ability to focus on others, and that requires empathy and big picture focus, and that's more so of emotional awareness. But your inner focus is the most essential to the development of of you becoming emotionally balanced. Okay, now empathy is important even when you're going through what you're going through. And honestly, I believe I've always been a very, very empathetic person, but I believe going through my recovery, I believe it made me even more empathetic, to know that that people really go through, things just happen and you just are like, what the hell? And it just made me know that change can happen like that, and that you can be on the receiving end of unfavorable change in the blink of an eye. And so, to always be more open and more empathetic to people that are going through things, And so empathy, you do need some empathy, but you also need empathy within yourself as well. Okay, you need to be empathetic to you as a person and what you're going through, because you're a person. If you can't be empathetic to yourself, how are you going to be empathetic to others? Okay, and then you got to look at your big picture focus. You do have to have some type of focus on, okay, what is it that I want in my life? What is it that I want to see? And then from that, you're looking at, okay, how are my emotions affecting me from, see what I want to see in my life, in my reality? How is my emotions not being in check affecting me from getting that? Okay. And so focus is key. Okay. And so the next thing is mindfulness. Okay, or presence of mind. Okay. Mindfulness is an aspect that your mind acts like an inner rudder, alerting you when you've deviated from your path. Okay. So a good example of this is if you're aware of a bad habit that you have, like say interrupting others, its presence of mind catches us on the spot before we interrupt someone and sends us a subtle reminder or cue not to interrupt. Okay, mindfulness is really when you are just you're just allowing your thoughts to flow. You're not getting focused on them. You're not trying to figure it out. You're just allowing thoughts to flow through your mind. Okay, and while you're sitting there, now you can go on YouTube, and there's all kind of mindfulness things. There's guided mindfulness. There's just the music where you can just sit and just listen. But the key here is when you are doing any type of mindfulness, you're not focused on the thoughts. You're just focused on just being a human person at that moment. Not focused on what you got to do, who you got to talk to, where you got to go. Not focused on what happened to you not focused on bills you gotta pay, or nothing. Focused on nothing. No fears, no anxieties, no worries. And in that moment, truly nothing matters. And you're just being. Okay, and so that is mindfulness, and that is something that's really powerful. It's not easy for a lot of people to do, because it's all about the going, the getting, the accumulating, and when you are in divorce recovery, especially the beginning of it, like when you first are starting, you really are just trying to get your bearings and figure out, okay, what do I go? What do I do? It went from 2 to 1, and, if you have children with you, you have children, you got to figure out, okay, there's not 2 adults here to figure things out. It's 1 adult, and I got to figure it out. And I got to rearrange my schedule and get everything. Like, it's a lot. And so your emotions are going to be all over the place. But that's why this video is so important, because this is the first big step in your divorce recovery process, is to get your emotions in check. That's your first step. And once you get your emotions in check, then you're able to move more effectively throughout the different steps and the different stages, okay, of divorce. Okay, you can move through them more effectively once your emotions are in check. Okay, and emotions being checked doesn't mean that you're stoic. It doesn't mean that you don't feel anything. Of course you feel anything. Of course you're gonna cry. You're gonna go through the stages, but you are going to consciously go through the stages. You're not going to unconsciously go through the stages. Hence why you see women who are really, really bitter after they've gotten divorced, and they've been divorced for years, like over 5-10 years, and they're still really bitter about the divorce. They could have married somebody else, and they are bitter about their divorce, and it's carried over into their current marriage, and they're pissed off about that. Those are women who did not get their emotions in check. And so technically they're still recovering from their divorce. Even though they're married, they're still recovering from their divorce because they never got their emotions in check. And their emotions is what always fueled them. Okay, instead of letting their emotions be a guide to their decisions, they let their emotions fuel them completely. Okay, instead of them consciously doing it, the emotions did it. Okay, so yeah, this is the very first thing that you want to do on your divorce recovery. Okay, now I'm going to tell you, this doesn't happen overnight. Like, you are going to be all over the place. Okay, you are, and if you are not, what's your secret? Share it with the community. Because you're going to be all over the place, okay? But the quicker you can get your emotions in check, the easier the process is going to be for you, okay? So that is that, okay? And so self-awareness, focus, and mindfulness, okay? These skills are what help us to exercise and enable and get ourselves emotionally balanced. Okay, it makes it easier to turn progress. Okay, that's why I said once you get emotionally balanced, going through the 5 stages becomes easier for you. Okay. Now, so we talked about what is emotional balance. We talked about why you should get your emotions in check. Okay. And so now one thing you might notice, I just want to make sure I put this out there, because when your emotions are running you, okay, you as you're going through your process, you're gonna notice that you're not gonna be as healthy. You may be a little sick. You might get sick more often. Your sleep might not be all that great. Increased conflict in other relationships that you have, difficulties at work, and you may even get burnt out. Okay, and all of this is because your emotions are all over the place. Okay, and so you don't want to be walking around like you're a pressure cooker ready to burst. Okay, because then that causes physical ailments, okay, physical issues. And so your emotions, it's your inner, and so whatever is going on in your inner, it has to be expressed outwardly, and that could really cause physical pain. Okay, and so you definitely want to learn how to get these emotions in check. Okay, so now we have gone through all of that. Okay, now let's talk about, how do you do it? How do you put this into practice? Okay. So like I said, you have to become conscious of your emotions. That's the very first thing. That was the very first tip, right? I said I was going to give you 3, but low key I'm finna give you 4. Because the first tip was, you have to become conscious of, hush a roar. You have to become conscious of your emotions. Okay, that's the first thing, right? Second thing is, cut yourself some slack. Okay, now just because you have your emotions in check, that doesn't mean that you're going to be happy all day, every day, and life's going to be sunshine, rainbows, and roses. Okay. It's okay to feel however you are feeling in that moment. You need to feel it, because when you try to repress it, that repression causes issues, and it's throwing your emotional body off. Okay, and so you don't want to do that. So feel whatever you're feeling in the moment, and then try to practice patience and acceptance, and remind yourself that life is full of ups and downs. Okay, and even though you might be feeling like life is caving in on you, it's okay to feel that at times. Now if it gets to the point where you're constantly feeling like that, then you're going to want to go and seek professional help. Okay, but if it's just it's not something that's like continuous, it's okay to not feel okay. Okay. The third thing is to practice self-care. Okay. Now, self-care, I know, when you think of self-care, you think of bubble baths and massages and all of those beautiful aesthetic things, and that is self-care. Okay, that is self-care. But self-care means that you are ensuring that you meet your needs and make yourself a priority. Okay, and this is every single day. Okay, this is something that I really struggled with this. Okay, I'm a Virgo Sun and Venus. Okay, Virgo energy is a mutable energy, and it is also a very service-based energy. Okay, and so I always made sure that everybody else had what they needed, and then by the time it got to me and what I needed, I was just knocked down. I was tired. I had no energy to do anything for me, and I used to feel like so selfish for if I did put myself first, I felt bad. I felt like I was being selfish. Okay. I was even told I was selfish a couple of times, but that's another story for a different video. But it's not. It's self-care, because like when you're on the airplane, right? What does the flight attendant say? If something happens and the mask comes down, you need to put your mask on first before you help that child. So self-care is making sure that you are putting yourself first. Okay. Examples can be things like just sticking to a routine. That's something I'm working on, is sticking to a routine, right? Eating a healthy meal, getting enough sleep and exercise, sticking with your medication regimen if you are on medication, okay? But like making sure that you are taking the time to look into, you, okay? Self-care is you sitting down, looking at your natal chart, figuring out who you are, figuring out how you operate. How do you operate? How you can use the energies that are naturally inside of you to really help you to move through your divorce recovery easier. Right? That is self-care. And so you definitely want to practice self-care. And then this is a bonus tip, but it's actually like one of the biggest keys to maintaining balance, okay? And that is to release and process painful emotions, okay? This here for me was, Lord have mercy. It was deep. It was deep. I have a Scorpio 4th house, okay? So, Scorpio goes deep. But as I began to release and process things, I really started feeling myself getting lighter. I really started feeling myself, become happier. I stopped walking around moping and being so sad all the time. And I really just started to process, and I let myself feel the unfavorable or unacceptable emotions like fear, anger, frustration, sadness, rage. I let myself feel those, and I just, some days I felt them all day. Some days it was maybe in the morning time. Some days it would come in the middle of the day and go, and some days I didn't feel them at all. But the more I allowed myself to release and process these emotions, it felt like my emotional scale went from this, I could feel it, coming, balancing out, right? Because emotions do get stuck inside of you, because it's energy in motion. And when you hold on to those emotions, that's why they're stuck, because you're not letting them flow like they're supposed to. They're getting stuck. And so that's why you have all of this going on, because you have decided to hold on to these emotions instead of allowing them to flow like they're meant to do, okay? And so you have to find a creative, healthy way of self-expression that works for you, okay? For me, one house that you definitely want to look to for this is the 8th house, okay? 8th house it's a money house, because it's opposite of the 2nd house. It's others' money, okay? So it'll be like your partner's money, but it's also shared resources, okay? And so when you go from 7th house, marriage, okay, that marriage is dead. That means those resources have been split. Anything that you have shared with that person from your 7th house, it's split now. And so you're back to just, what you get from your 2nd house. Okay? And possessions and things, we get emotional about those things. We get emotional about our possessions. We get emotional about our things. And so you really need to look at the sign that you have on that house, okay? And tap into that energy, and that will help you to release, because 8th house is also it's trauma, it's it's transformation. 8th house is the house of transformation, okay? And so while you're on your divorce recovery process, the 8th house's energy is going to be very, very key, very, very instrumental, as well as the 4th house, as well as the 12th house. Those are the healing houses, and so you're going to really want to tap into those houses as you are going on this journey. But 8th house, that energy of the 8th house will help you to release and process your painful emotions, okay, in a way that feels right to you, okay. I'm a Pisces 8th house, and for me it was music. It was tarot, I had astrology. I had really tapped into that my spiritual self. I really started my spiritual journey during my recovery, actually before. I started it like right before I decided for sure that I was going to get divorced. I started it, and then it just grew as I went through my recovery. But the 8th house is definitely the energy you want to tap into that. And if you have any placements in the 8th house, you definitely, those placements are going to have a big significance in your recovery, as well as wherever your moon is in your chart. Okay? All right, and so that is that. Now, another way, my favorite way, that I like that you can to release things and to get things out of your head is journaling. Okay, if you've been watching my content for any amount of time, I love journaling, and so journaling is something. It was very, very instrumental as well in me and my recovery process, just getting things out of my head. And not only that, it's like I go back and I reflect and I look on where I was, and where I am now. And the woman I am now is so very grateful that the woman that I was took the journey. Okay? And so you will get there as well. Journaling is amazing. It's really, really amazing, and it will really help you to heal. Okay? And so that is that. Okay, that is what I have for you. Okay, and so emotionally balancing, you definitely want to get emotionally balanced, because that is what's going to propel you, help you to go through your recovery so much easier. Okay. And so if you found value in this video, please do give it a thumbs up. I greatly appreciate it. It helps others to be able to see the video and get value as well. Now, if you would like to book a strategy session with me, okay, I do have slots available for you to book a divorce recovery strategy session with me. And I go over what is divorce recovery, the 5 stages. I go over the natal healing method, how it works. And then we can take a look at your chart. We can pull your chart if you know your information. You have to put it in at the time of booking, because I like to look over the charts. I like to pull them before the appointment and analyze the charts. So you definitely want to put your information in. If you don't know your birth time and you know a roundabout time, you can do that. The rising sign may not be completely accurate because the rising sign does change every 1 to 2 hours, depending on the sign that it's moving into. So you definitely, it would be best for you to have your accurate, your exact time. But if you got a roundabout time, we'll just have to go with that. Okay. But if you would like to book a strategy session, you can do so at my link tree. It'll be in the description and on the homepage. And also get your free copy of the ebook, the Natal Healing Method, and it breaks the method down and explains it exactly how it works, the first 3 steps, the foundation of the method. And so it's absolutely free, so you definitely want to get that. Okay. And so until next time, remember, possibilities are endless. If you can see it in your mind, then you can definitely hold it in your hand, and that should make you smile because you are the one that creates your own reality. Have a good one.